Welcome to the EOB Podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Benno, and for the next 3 podcasts, Sen won't be joining us because, he's on vacation. So it's just going to be you and me. So let's get going with the box office. Last weekend, 4-day Memorial Weekend, we have 2 new wide releases opening on not on the weekend, but Baywatch opened on a Thursday. For some reason, I guess Paramount doesn't want the movie to go head-to-head with Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, which is the 5th movie in the Pirates franchise. I guess it wants to get it into theaters for those early people who are on early vacation, I guess, or longer break, to watch the movie, get their money first before they turn out for Pirates 5. Both movies came out, we made some predictions, and let's see how our predictions went. Number 1 is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, the 5th movie in the franchise, as I said. It is kind of expected, at least for me. I picked the movie to have an opening somewhere in the 75 to 80 million range, which, by the way, the movie kind of fell short on. And Sen said the movie would experience a precipitous drop, falling to somewhere between 40 to 50 million opening. So obviously he's kind of off there by a lot, and the movie is closer to my figures. But you can see that with subsequent movies, right? The domestic take has been steadily declining. For example, the first movie, the one that the very first movie had only a 46 million opening. That's fine because if we go back to the root, Pirates of the Caribbean is based on a theme park ride, and they expanded it into this huge global $1 billion franchise, with the last 3 movies making over $1 billion in the global box office, or close to it, in the case of the 3rd movie, which only grossed 963 million, but close enough, right? And then the 2nd movie, which is kind of the high point domestically, 135 million opening, right? It went on to have a 423 million domestic. Then it's beginning to drop with the 3rd movie, right? 3rd movie had a 114 million opening, and then a 309 total domestic gross, and then the 4th movie, 90 million opening, and went on to make only 241. And this one, Pirates 5, Dead Men Tell No Tales, had a 62 million opening. So you can see the steady decline at the box office. And, Sen said in the previous podcast, the last podcast, that Johnny Depp's private life, his contentious divorce with his ex-wife, Amber Heard, might have affected the movie, by a lot, I guess, according to him. Well, since he projected the movie to open in between 40 and 50 million. But I don't see that huge of a decline. Sometimes depending on what he does, right? It's not like a Mel Gibson toxic, right? What he did, with his off the screen stuff activities, right? His messy divorce, well, in the news anyway, and his taking dogs into Australia, which is illegal. That causes a stir. But like I said, this franchise is already in its 5th movie, so unless you're the Fast and the Furious, which is even experiences kind of slight audience erosion as well, but it's still going strong. But you can see, it's hard to say since the 7th movie has Paul Walker's death affecting its box office, right? But then you can see it's plateauing with the 8th movie. It opened to about the same, similar level as, the 6th movie. Once we look at the Privates movie, right, we can see that it's, beginning with the 2nd movie, the 3rd movie is starting to decline, dropping, and now with the 5th movie, it has a 62 million. But, it's a global play, right? Now, the movie takes these big blockbusters or global play. Even though it might experience a steady decline at the domestic box office, it still managed to pull in 1 billion overseas. The 4th movie, only a 90 million opening, 241 domestic, but overseas, or on a global market, it made over $1 billion. So it's still doing well overseas. So we have the China figure coming in with 68 million in China. So it's doing well. The budget is 230 million. Worldwide right now it's 324. Looks like but we don't know if this movie will reach $1 billion, right? But it's on its way, depending on how well it holds up. But we can see now that as I said, the domestic market is on its decline. Globally, it's still holding up, but we'll see if it can make, still able to pull in $1 billion. The global market, something to keep an eye on. We don't know if this is going to be the final Pirates movie, even though it's breaking in money, right? But we don't know how much it's breaking in. The budget's quite high, $233 million. We'll see. All right, let's move on to number 2. Guardians of the Galaxy. It pulled in about 21 million over 3 days. I'm using the 3-day figure here. Experienced only a 40% drop off from the previous weekend. Domestically, it has a gross of 333 million. Worldwide is at 791. The budget is 200 million. So yeah, Volume 2 is doing great. Let's see how it compares to the first Guardian movie. Yeah, domestic gross has already surpassed the first movie. The first movie has a domestic gross of 333 million. Guardians Galaxy Volume 2 has a domestic gross of 338, and it still has a ways to go before it's out of the theater. So it's outgrossing the first movie at the domestic market. Worldwide, it's also outpacing the first movie. Guardians 2 Volume 2, 791 at the global market, and Guardians 1, 773. So, hey, the second movie is doing better. Okay, let's go to number 3, which is Baywatch, a movie that I thought would do better. Actually, I thought the order would be Pirates coming in number 1, Baywatch number 2, but apparently not. Baywatch only pulled in about 18.6 million over the weekend. I said they could probably do somewhere between 25 to 30 million. And since 20 to 25, which of course fell short of our projections with 18.6 million. And this is kind of at the lower end of what Dwayne Johnson's movie when he is the lead. His movies usually open in the, as I say, 25 to 40 million range, and this is at the lower end, way lower end. The thing is, this is outside the norm for him, right? I mean, this is based on a very popular TV shows in the 90s. But it's an R-rated action comedy. It's kind of like with 21 Jump Street. That movie did way better, but you could say it's okay. The budget's only about 70 million. To have a nearly 18.6 million opening is doing good. Let's see how well it holds up. Reviews are not good, I believe. The reviews for Baywatch is only 19%, which is kind of terrible for a comedy. B+ cinema score, which is kind of average score. It seems like audience is not that high on it. I guess there's some people who like the awfulness. I guess so bad it's good. The Baywatch movie, and apparently not a lot of people thought. I had higher hopes for the movie because usually Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is pretty dependable as a leading man. His movies usually open, like I said, in the 25 to 40 million range or higher. But this one didn't, and it could be just the Baywatch theme, just could be the property. It's not that high on people's radar. Yeah. Let's move on to number 4, which is Occupied by Alien Covenant. It pulled in about 10.6 million. Experienced a huge drop-off, about 71% from the previous weekend. In the second weekend, it only pulled in 10.6 million. Domestic gross is 75 million, budget's only 97. Let's see, worldwide. Worldwide is pulling at 160 million. So, you could say that it's not doing well. I mean, huge drop off here on the domestic market, and overseas is doing a little bit better, but let's see how well it's doing in China. China's figures is not available yet, but you can take a look at the markets. You don't have these huge openings, but we'll have to see how well it's doing in China. So with this huge drop off, people are saying, hey, no more Alien movie, at least at the domestic market. All right, coming in at number 5, a movie that's pretty surprising to me, at least. It's this YA romance called Everything, which is based on a book. They pulled in about 6 million over the weekend, 3 days. Experienced only a 49% drop off in the second weekend. The budget's only 10. The domestic take is, a little bit more than double its budget, so it's doing well. Considering, right? I had the movie opening around 1 million, but it did way better. It opened to 11 million, so it's outperforming my expectations, and it seems like it has some sort of staying power. Could probably end up in the 35 to 40 million range when it's all said and done. or once it's out of theaters. Coming number 6 is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul. I think it's the 4th movie. This movie I thought would perform better, would be a return for the series, right? I thought Dog Days was the outlier, but apparently not. The movie only opened to 7 million. And over Memorial Weekend, the 3 days, it only pulled in about 4.4 million. Experienced a 38% drop off. Domestic gross is only 13 million. Budget is 22, so it still has some ways to go before it matches its budget. If it continues to perform as such, it could probably end up in the, I don't know, maybe 25 to 35 million range. Yeah, so it's the domestic growth is only 13 million so far, so and the interest doesn't seem like it's there for this movie. So Long Haul will need a long way to go before it can catch up to its budget. Let's see, number 7 is Snatched, the comedy with Amy Schumer and Goldie Hawn, directed by Jonathan Levine. It pulled in 3.9 million over the weekend, experienced a 50% drop off from the previous week. So far, it made only 40 million domestic. The budget is only 42. Overseas is not doing well either, 9 million from overseas market, but it's not open that wide. Then again, comedies don't usually travel well overseas, so you could say it's kind of a dud for Amy Schumer. Her previous one did well, which I think is Trainwreck. Let's see, Trainwreck, which is her previous comedy, opened to 30 million and pulled in 110 million, but this one way underperformed that movie. Alright, number 8 is King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. It pulled in about 3.3 million over the weekend, experienced a 54% drop off. So far, it only pulled in 34 million domestic. The budget is 175, and worldwide, it's only doing 119. So not going well for this movie. In China, it only had an 8 million opening, so not doing well at all. Like I said, it could be the leads are not that appealing for audience, right? With Charlie Hunnam in the lead and Jude Law as the bad guy. Warner Brothers and Guy Ritchie planned this as the first movie in a potential franchise, and it looks like they're going to stop with one, and it looks like they're going to lose money on this one, at least theatrically. Let's see. Let's move on to number 9, The Boss Baby. It pulled in 1.7 million over the weekend. It's already in its 9th weekend already, experienced a 40% drop off. Domestic gross is 168 million. And let's see, worldwide it's doing 476 million. You could say it's a hit for DreamWorks. Let's round out the top 10 with Beauty and the Beast. It's in its 11th weekend, pulled in 1.5 million, experienced a 40% drop off. It crossed 500 million. Yay! I was a little skittish because we said early on that it's gonna cross 500 million domestic, but then we see that it's slowing down, and I had some doubts about it passing 500, but it did. It passed 500 million domestic. Yay for our predictions. Let's see, globally it made, or worldwide it made 1.2 billion. So yeah, huge movie for Disney. Alright, so that rounds out the top 10. Let's move on to the openings this weekend. We have 2 wide releases. One is Captain Underpants, which is based on a best-selling children's book. And then there is Wonder Woman, which is, I guess, the origin story of, one of the Justice League members. And that movie is opening in over 4,000 locations. Let's start off with Wonder Woman, okay? So during its production, we heard news that, there's reshoots from one of the insiders saying that, hey, there's trouble with the movie, and I said that, hey, this movie might be in trouble. It might be terrible as with the other DC movies, but apparently it's going well with the critics. Right now, currently, it has a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes with 55 reviews, which is a pretty good sample size. 96, which is probably the highest reviewed DC movie. A DC, cinematic universe movie. Anyway, Wonder Woman, I thought it might be in trouble, but apparently it's getting good word of mouth. It's getting good reviews, and DC's decision to let people review this movie early. It's actually normally they embargo the movie, the reviews, right, until Thursday or Friday or whatever, so that bad word of mouth won't get out. But to counteract all the rumors and innuendos and things about the rumors about this movie, they actually kind of let people release their reviews early, knowing that, hey, this movie is well reviewed. 96% on Rotten Tomatoes for a DC superhero movie is actually very good. I think it's the best reviewed DC comic book movie so far, right? So which bodes well. Gal Gadot stars as Wonder Woman, right? This is a prequel, you could say, to and an origin story, how Wonder Woman came to the States and fight crime. Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman. Chris Pine, starring as this major who's playing Crash on her island and bring her back to the West to England. Or is it England, or I don't know what the story is, but anyway, bring her back to the West, and that's how Wonder Woman fought in World War II. The movie's directed by Patty Jenkins. So how will the movie do? It's well reviewed. You can see that this movie is kind of different from the Zack Snyder movies. It's not all dark doom and gloom, right? It's not the gritty stuff of the Batman movies, right? Not the doom and gloom of the Man of Steel movies or even Dawn of Justice. This is more of a brighter, colorful, funner exercise. Kind of like with Suicide Squad, right? We say that, hey, what the DC movies are missing is the sense of fun, sense of wonder. And then Suicide Squad came along and said, hey, that's what's missing. And, that movie did very well, considering that, it doesn't feature big hitters from the DC universe like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, etc., right? But Wonder Woman kind of took that brightness. Sin would say that this optimism is missing from the Superman movies. Superman is supposed to be optimistic, a defender of freedom, justice, the American way, right? And Wonder Woman is kind of like the female aspect of that. And I think they might have hit it off with, Wonder Woman, judging by the reviews. Let's see how well this movie will do, right? Suicide Squad had an opening of 133 million. Man of Steel had an opening of 116 million. Dawn of Justice had a 166 million opening. So this is a solo movie by one of the Justice League members. They will eventually congregate in the next Justice League movie. So it's probably gonna open somewhere between Wonder Woman it's probably gonna open somewhere between 133 of Suicide Squad and Man of Steel. Man of Steel had 116 million opening. The question is Wonder Woman gonna open less than Man of Steel? Remember, this is kind of like, it is Wonder Woman, right? She's not as popular as Superman, right? And Gal Gadot, she is sort of an unknown figure. It's not certain that she can open a movie yet. This will be a test case for her with this big major one. It is Wonder Woman. It is part of the DC universe, and she was in Batman vs. Superman. I think she acquitted herself very well in that movie, right? She held her own against Ben Affleck's Batman. But how will she do in her first movie, right? I guess she is this warrior woman. Reviews are overwhelmingly positive, 96%. But then again, like I say, will fans want to watch a Wonder Woman movie, without the machismo of a Batman or a Superman? It's not going to open as high as Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. It's not going to open that high. And Wonder Woman, the awareness, I guess, or the interest level is not as high as Superman. At least I feel that way. The box office could tell me differently, right? So, Wonder Woman movie, 96%. And I don't think it's gonna outperform the Man of Steel opening because of the character. So, how about this? I think it's probably gonna open somewhere in the 65 to 75 million range. How about that? 65 to 75, I think, because like I said, Gal Gadot is kind of an unknown figure, sort of. She was in the Batman vs. Superman movie, right? She was in the Fast and Furious movies. Now this is her as Wonder Woman. Chris Pine is a supporting figure actor in the movie. How will she do on her own? Because I don't think people are gonna pay money to watch Chris Pine. It's my feeling. Gal Gadot, she looks great. She could make a very good Wonder Woman. Like I said, she kind of acquitted herself in Batman vs Superman. She held her own in that movie. But this is all her. This is all her in the movie. And like I said, this is more a funner movie than the dark and gritty Zack Snyder movies, DC movies. People can see that it's 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's very well reviewed. But will people turn out for Wonder Woman? That remains to be seen. Okay, so 65 to 75 million opening. Maybe it could open higher, but I'm gonna go conservative and say 65 to 75. And then we have Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. This movie is by DreamWorks Animation. It's kind of like continuing their co-branded movies like Trolls and Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Remember DreamWorks Animation used to provide their own original animation, and then they kind of branch off into branded movies, making movies out of already established IP like Peabody and Sherman, Trolls. And now we have Captain Underpants, which is based on a best-selling children's book. It's about these two kids, two school-age children who hypnotize their mean principal and turn him into Captain Underpants, the subject of their comic book. They write comic books and play pranks. And Captain Underpants is a character from, the main character of their comic book. And then, they have to keep him from getting into trouble, believing he is this superhero. The animation looks great. It's kind of like the previous movie, which is the previous one? Oh yeah, the Boss Baby. Animation is kind of like the Boss Baby, but this has the appeal of the book, right? That the characters are great looking, and I think it appeals to kids. The book is great. So how well will this movie open to? I think it's going to open to around where the Boss Baby opens to. The Boss Baby opened to about 50 million. It went on to, right now, we'll have a worldwide gross of 476 million. And School's about to be out, right? School's about to be out. There's no review yet. Home opened to 52 million. Boss Baby 50 million opening. Trolls opened to 47 million opening. And I believe this Captain Underpants is gonna probably open in the 50 to 55 million range, because it's based on a well-known property, and the animation is appealing, I feel. So I think Captain Underpants is gonna have a 50 to 55 million opening. Okay, how about that? All right, 2 movies opening this weekend. We have Wonder Woman, 65 to 75 million opening, because the character is still kind of iffy, right? Wonder Woman, it's not as huge as Batman versus Superman, and DC Comics kind of have doesn't have a really good track record yet, kind of uneven in story, even though they have popular characters like Batman and Superman, but their movies are still behind what Marvel is doing with theirs. And Gal Gadot is kind of not that big of a draw yet, but we'll see, right? So 65 to 75 million opening for Wonder Woman, and Captain Underpants 50 to 55 million opening. Or it could do less, who knows? I mean, people might not be interested in a Captain Underpants movie, but hey, this is a DreamWorks animation, and right now it seems like they have found a groove with these recent slates of movies. So 50 to 55 million opening, since it's based on a book. Okay, we'll see how I did next week. Tune in.